This short video is going to be covering the Battle of Saratoga and Valley Forge, which we already started covering in class. So the Battle of Saratoga took place when the British decided that they were going to cut off the New England region by taking control of the Hudson River, so that way no supplies could get into the New England region, and eventually they would surrender to the British. Since they wanted to cut off the New England region by taking over the Hudson River, the British then moved their men from Canada into Albany, New York. When the colonists realized what the British planned on doing, they decided they're going to slow down their progress, and they're going to make it difficult to travel from Canada to Albany. So they start to destroy bridges, cut down trees, block the roadways, create these huge mud piles, basically to make it very difficult and to buy the colonists more time to set up or to launch a surprise attack. The British weren't anticipating this, so the colonists have this huge victory in Saratoga, and this is the point, this is the battle that convinces France to join the United States, to join the Continental Army, the colonists. This is what convinces France that yes, the colonists could potentially win and we should help them. The painting here depicts the British surrendering to the colonists at Saratoga. Normally you would hand over your sword as a sign of surrender, but the colonists and the British, they were friends, they were countrymen at one point. Yes, they're fighting against one another, but they did have a level of respect for each other. So the colonists actually refused to take his sword and invited him into his tent so that he wouldn't necessarily be embarrassed by this horrible defeat and this huge victory for the colonists. As soon as news reaches Ben Franklin in France that the Battle of Saratoga had happened, it was won by the colonists, this was the fuel needed to help France, or to help secure France's assistance with the revolution. And this lovely painting, you see everyone is all over Benjamin Franklin, all the ladies are around him. He's in France, you guys saw that in Liberty's Kids, and he's there to try to gain French support. Meanwhile, George Washington is at Valley Forge, and Valley Forge is located on the Pennsylvania-New Jersey border, so it's right on Pennsylvania, right by the river. And times were tough at Valley Forge. It was cold, there wasn't enough food, the troops were not well prepared, but the Frenchmen had arrived, and they were there to help train the troops and to help make them into well-trained soldiers to fight against the British and to finally win the war. Since George Washington refused to leave his men at Valley Forge and wanted to experience the same thing that his men were experiencing, the Committee of Congress, basically the people that were running the quote-unquote country, because we weren't fully independent yet, we had just declared independence, but we still didn't win. They would visit George Washington at Valley Forge, and they saw the conditions that the troops were facing. And it was very grim. There are various sections of George Washington's journals that depict his uncertainty of whether they're going to be able to survive this winter and how difficult it actually is. And in this painting you can see him, kind of praying up to God, but you also see good old Nelson right in the background. So again, the winter of 1777 and 1778 at Valley Forge, you had hunger, starvation, you had a frostbite where the troops had no shoes and it was in the snow and they didn't have warm clothing. They were sleeping in outdoor tents, and you also had diseases. So Valley Forge, rough period for the Continental Army. But the good old French helped the army, trained the army, and this kind of kept the men motivated. So things really began to turn around after the Battle of Saratoga, after the harsh winter at Valley Forge for the Continental Army and the colonists. This is just a quick drawing of the Frenchmen training the troops at Valley Forge. So you should be able to answer these two very easy questions: the importance of the Battle of Saratoga, and then the conditions that the Continental Army faced at Valley Forge. Once you're able to answer these two questions, head over and answer your blog, and I will see you guys tomorrow in class.